Hello and welcome to the Armchair Show. I'm your host Tanisha and I'm so thrilled to have you guys here with us today. Today we are filming our second episode with Motor Trade magazine and we've got some fantastic guests with us here today. So if we kick off with a quick introduction of your names and where you're from, I think that's probably the best way to start.
Yeah, I'm Eddie Tomlinson, Marketing Director of MotorTech AI.
I'm Gerard Thatcher, the CEO and founder of MotorTech AI.
And I'm Lizzie Gold, Commercial Manager at Motor Trader.
To start off, I guess, with the origin story, really, of MotorTech AI. How did you get the idea for AIME? How did it come to life?
Well, for context, I'm also a motor dealer, as well as a tech innovator. But, you know, it's funny because I've been in the industry since I was 15 years old, always building technical solutions throughout my time inside of the industry. But having a dealership myself, I really felt and understood the sort of the pain points that were, that were present. And, you know, I've got a love for this industry, a real passion. And, you know, I want to solve the problems that are out there because I care about it so much. Three big problems particularly: rising costs, shrinking margins, customer frustration, being unable to get in touch with dealers outside of hours was another one. And then lead management, having dealers or being a dealer myself, my sales team were so frustrated with following up leads the following morning because the only thing that was available on websites were forms or chatbots that just collected people's data, didn't really solve any problems. So I suppose, as a dealer myself, I knew that I could. And this is going back about 3 years ago when the concept was born. I suppose it was about the time of the birth of ChatGPT becoming out, you know, people starting to realize, and, you know, that light bulb moment happened. I was like, I could do something with this. My original brief to myself was I need to create my very best salesperson to be available 24/7, to be just as good as me, or like I said, my very best person, to be able to solve all of those issues. And you know, that's where the idea was born from. That's where it came from. Sort of the real world boots on the ground,
nice.
Yeah.
But I imagine there were a lot of challenges in that, right? I imagine that wasn't a smooth journey.
Yeah, it's 3 years of pain.
I heard that, the way that you said that there.
Yeah, it's been a roller coaster ride. But you know what? It's so satisfying now knowing that we got new clients, we've got dealers all around the country now starting to use, take it on board and start to use it. And then occasionally I can dip in and read some of the transcripts that, you know, AIME's having conversations with clients, and it still blows my mind, not only how real it all feels and how customers are interacting with it, but like this is all brand new, right? So we're creating things that have never existed before. So, you know, it is just so exciting to be a part of this journey and also to solve these problems, not just for my own business, but for everybody in the industry. Like, I really want that to be my legacy. Like, I really did as much as I could to help and make a change for the better, you know.
And you were saying about some of the customers, like conversations that you read, that customers don't even realise they're talking to AI.
Yeah, I was going to say, Gerard is passionate about reading the transcripts and frequently forwards me, listen to this great conversation that AIME's had with a customer. And it's so interesting to see how, you know, people start off the conversation quite abrupt and short and kind of talking to AI, but then very quickly they realise that AIME can respond in a very human way and is answering their questions, and it kind of turns into a conversation. It's really great to see.
Yeah.
AIME even, like, this is funny, like I read a transcript the other day and the customer knew it was AI because we make no bones of the fact. AIME's opening message is, I'm your AI assistant here to help, right? But the person at the end, because the conversation's so human-like, was like giving kisses to AIME at the end. So AIME then started doing heart emojis back. Now, this is the power of AI, right? This is the wonder of AI, like how and why it does things sometimes you just don't know. Like, this is the truth. We put 1 million guardrails in place. It's one of the things that has those challenges I've spoken about for the last 3 years, is the guardrails. But these little nuances, these little things that she's able to do, we give her tolerance to be able to do. It's so cool, like, you know, to be able to give heart emojis back to a customer that just sent kisses. It's crazy, but it's a lot of fun at the same time, you know.
And how do you get AI? Because AI is not new, right? It's been around for a really long time. But how do you get it to sound like a human, right? Because...
Yeah, good question. it's already quite lifelike in its sort of, depending on the LLM that you take it from, the large language models that you take it from. I mean, we use OpenAI as sort of, the conversational context part of the AI that we use. Of course, we got a lot of cool, clever computational stuff and AI stuff going behind the scenes, but we use AIME's language model from OpenAI. So then it's just a matter of engineering the prompt to ensure that, in fact, the brief, I think originally I gave it version 1 and we're on version 47 or something like that now. But version 1 was a 24-year-old girl from London, sort of your typical sort of tele-receptionist, that sort of a brief. Polite, friendly, all of that kind of stuff. But yeah, it largely comes from the models, but then, of course, with your own tweaks and prompts put in behind it.
So you've actually given it a whole persona of kind of
100%.
age, gender, who that person might be to make it feel really real.
Yeah, that's it. That is. And that all, is part of that whole experience you get with AIME, is you don't feel like you're being handled by a chatbot. And this was something really important because chatbots already exist. They're this if this then that sort of dumb being put through a funnel. But the incredible thing about and testament to the team that have worked tirelessly on generating what we got today, which I think is a world-leading product, is that it is that human-like interaction, and it's that seamless journey that you're being sort of guided through, handheld and guided through from the moment of not knowing what car to choose and you need advice. So maybe you're at the research level or the pre-search level, and you're like, okay, well, maybe I can compare some. And it's having that guidance and handhelded sort of support there to be able to say, okay, well, now we've solved that bit, let's move on. Shall we move on to the next step now? Shall we move on to the next step now? So yeah, it's really cool.
But automotive, we have so many systems, right, and so many data points. So does it integrate with the dealer systems like their CRM, their stock, so AIME is able to be like, oh, the inquiry is now in the CRM. This is the stock that we have in place to guide a customer.
Yeah, 100%. And again, this was one of the big challenges I needed to overcome when we first came up with version 1. It needed, so if I just go back a little bit, so before AIME existed, right, I mentioned chatbots and I mentioned forms and other live chat solutions. They were not plugged into anything. They're effectively dumb in the sense that they just don't know what a customer is asking for or wants. So if a customer said something just so basic and simple, like, is this vehicle still available? They'd be like, I don't know. I will take your name and number and I'll get somebody to give you a call back in the morning, because this, the customer's 9 o'clock at night wanting to know the answer. So it was imperative, we had to have AIME plugged into, the necessary APIs to be able to have all that information. And it's really important that AIME, that AIME's got like 1 million different data points of which she can extract information, take information from. Specific about the dealer, specific about the stock, specific about, their finance partners, and specific about their payment providers. So that's all tailored into making sure that customer is dealing with, that dealership and understands their stock and understands their process and understands their sales funnel. So that's the important part. Yeah, but it's plugged into everything, in that respect.
That's the difference, I think, that AIME understands the sales journey from start to finish, rather than other bots that may just try and collect your name and number and say somebody will call you back tomorrow. She understands the steps to go through. She can interpret what you're asking, and has great data sitting behind her. Data inputs are crucial to AI as well, right?
Data's the key, right? Because without that, as I said, it's just dumb. And so the value of the data, so AIME's plugged into, in my business particularly, is plugged into my DMS and my CRM. So she knows the customers she's talking to, and then she's got all the information specifically about the vehicles in intricate detail, like the number of owners, how long is the MOT, where was it serviced. If this is information that belongs in the DMS, then we can plug it into it, which means, because I liken it to this. You would not allow your salesperson to have a conversation with a customer on the forecourt, right, if they didn't have all the information they needed. So that's the same thing. Like, if you're going to put AIME on your website, give her all the tools to do her job properly. And here's another mad point, is that up until now, people haven't thought about having salespeople on their websites, right? So your typical business or showroom has got like maybe, 5 to 10 salespeople in it. And how many salespeople have you got sat there managing your tens of thousands of web browsers for every 24 hours? It's like none. So it's like, again, it was that penny light bulb moment where it's like, this just needs to happen. This needs to be built.
Yeah.
And it was crazy that it didn't exist.
And how are you finding that kind of teams are adopting it? If you've got to kind of find any salespeople a little bit maybe nervous to have an AI colleague amongst them?
I think, there's always that element of uncertainty, right? And I think we all know now with AI, it is here. It's staying around. There's no denying that. But yeah, there's that initial concern, I think, from a sales perspective particularly, and maybe even sales management particularly, about, is it going to take my job? Is it going to be, replacing me? And I think the thing to be mindful is that, we're giving people the tools to make their own decisions with now. But for my business, if I can speak for that and others that we've integrated with, it's really enhanced the efficiency of these other businesses considerably, like really to the point where if AIME is contributing or influencing like 1 in 4 sales because she's handling so much of the sales process, that means it's something that human salespeople did not need to do. So if AIME was helping the customers find the right vehicle, helping them value the part exchanges and building the deal, that's work the salesman didn't need to do. But what the salesman do get, instead of having, like I said earlier, those multiple leads coming through at night where customers are asking questions like basic stuff like, is it still available? How long is the MOT? Instead of getting that weaker lead that, it needs following up and then the customers may or may not be available, they actually get these full long transcript, summarized, but full long conversations of 15, 30 interactions of customers, going between AIME and the customer, not only about what vehicle it is that they want, but it's fully qualified, part exchange is valued, finance has been quoted, maybe even applied for, and a reservation is there. So, it's like, imagine that arriving in your inbox when you walk in the morning. But what that means for the salesperson is, they get to look after the customers that actually need attention as opposed to those that maybe didn't. Again, speaking from my own dealership, before we had AIME integrated, there was a very large number of leads that came through overnight. And my sales team used to spend maybe about 50% of their day trying to get hold of these customers. That's massively inefficient, isn't it? And those customers, 75% of them went nowhere. So now they get to channel 100% of their energy into the 25 or 30% of customers that are buyers, and do want to go somewhere. And that's the other thing. And then if you've still got more time for the sales team, then let's talk about expanding. Let's talk about increasing stock levels, getting more out of your sales team, and or get involved in social media, or TikTok's obviously massive at the moment for automotive dealers. They could be getting involved with doing fun things around the showroom, trying to engage with new audiences. There's a million things you could be doing more efficiently, right? But yeah.
Yeah, and I'm only 3 weeks into.
I was just about to say that.
My role here, Tanisha. So I've been trying my best to speak to as many of our customers as I can to get a real good feeling and understanding. And I was speaking to a customer yesterday, just about that whole, how has the team taken to it? How do you feel it's working? And it comes back to that point of before this solution, before AIME, the customer was either having to have people manning a live chat, 8 a.m. till 10 p.m. or just doing it in the evenings because if they get an inquiry, they need to respond to it quickly, or just not doing that at all and coming in the morning to, inquiries that have, don't go anywhere. They're asking a question, they wanted an answer because I think we all know that with the evolution of other industries, Amazon, you shop at midnight and you just expect to be able to get what you want and when you want
that's
it.
What customers want, right? It's what they do.
24/7 commerce. So people are very quick to realise that AIME is plugging a gap that needs plugging, not taking a salesperson job, just making them more efficient, more effective. They come in the morning or even any time of the day, to inquiries that have been nurtured by AIME. They've got a really rich understanding of the customer's needs based on the transcript, and it's just making them more efficient, sort of handling that first line of inquiry really effectively and guiding that customer through the sales process.
You've been at MotorTech for 3 weeks now, like you said. So what was it that appealed?
Still so fresh and new. There's still time.
What was it that appealed to you about the company? What was it that you saw and thought, I want to be part of that?
Well, I think AI is such a kind of trend at the moment, and it's the whole industry and the whole world is figuring out how to use it. And I quickly realised, having spoken to Gerard and the team and played with AIME, that they've developed something really amazing that is solving a genuine problem that we know exists in the industry. And it was just too exciting and enticing to kind of say no to. So it's a bit of a change of pace from where I was before. Different challenges, but I believe in the product so much that I think it's it's great.
And like you said, AI is everywhere at the moment. Everybody is talking about AI. Do you use any AI with what you guys are doing at the moment?
Yeah, we certainly do within our CRM and Teams as well. Like you say, at first when I'd go on meetings, there'd be AI, I'd be a bit like, oh, I'm being watched, but but absolutely now for me, I love what you were saying, about how it helps the sort of commercial process, rather than be threatened by, one day Motor Trader aren't going to need me for the commercial side to build wonderful clients like you. It's totally not true. I use it to help me engage with clients, with businesses, find out what's going on. Absolutely. And it's like you guys have said, it's really wonderful to be at Motor Trader at this time, seeing the sort of the growth of AI, and I know clients that are using you and are really happy. So
that's great.
It's brilliant.
I think the difference is, sorry, Gerard, AIME has been built from the ground up with AI in mind. It's not kind of an afterthought where there's an existing solution where they think, how can we kind of use AI within this? She's been built from the ground up with that as the intention. So I think it's a different angle, isn't it, to where other companies are maybe trying to retrofit.
That's your background from a dealer perspective,
Yeah,
isn't
that's
it?
right.
So you've really built it with dealers in mind.
Yeah. As I said, like I needed it to be my very best salesperson, but more than that as well. Like, the beginning of the customer search journey, right? This is important because the beginning of the customer search journey used to start with like flicking through magazines or forums or even around a dinner table. People asking like, what car do you drive? Like, and why do you think that's best? That's now an experience you can have inside of AIME, which is really cool. So we've got clients with obviously thousands of vehicles in stock. And, one of their biggest problems is getting customers to the right vehicle. Well, you can just ask AIME. You can start that search journey at the very beginning saying, I don't know what I want. And that's not necessarily something that humans would have done before. That's not part of the process that a salesperson would have naturally done. Because like I said, that journey started around a dinner table or at a magazine or on a forum. But we can handle that. And of course, then it's the very best salesperson. And you say, well, how is it the very best salesperson? Well, it's available 24/7. It's 7 days a week. It doesn't, go off sick or take holidays. And I'm not saying that's a weakness in the humans, because humans have got immense amounts of, power and capabilities over and above AI, and differences, of course, and value. But it does mean that it solves, like I said, a lot of those other problems from a customer frustration perspective, not being able to get the information they needed outside of hours, being able to do a deal in that handheld, human-like, seamless process, and also save the dealership time and money as well, But yeah, it all stems from being the very best salesperson that I could possibly have tried to create, ultimately.
Fantastic. And where did you come up with the name AIME from? It
It's
sounds
brilliant.
so human. I love it.
Absolutely brilliant.
Well, I pretty much just said it. It's AI me.
Brilliant.
There are a number of other things that it stands for or could mean as well. But AI me was the very first thing that came to mind 3 years ago when I built version 1. But yeah, it's that simple. I'd love to say it's something way cooler
I know, I
than
love
that,
it.
but just
It's
AI
great.
me. That
It's
was
great.
it.
I think that makes it even better. It sounds very human, but at the same time, it's actually does what it says.
It's and it's got that sort of human-like identity, right? So it makes it relatable, and you can chat, you can converse, you can and you really can. That's the other really cool thing, as I mentioned. I keep going on about it. You have to shut me up, guys. 'Cause you can tell I'm passionate, right? But just the fact that you can just ask, why do you think this car is better than that car? And it gives you that really cool, like, impartial. And that's, again, another thing to a human. A human would have an agenda, right? maybe a salesperson would have a commission attached to a particular vehicle. So if we talk about compliance moving forward and, standards and transparency, well, this is again where AI is going to be so huge for moving us forward, not only in this industry, but like in every industry, because people will be able to trust and rely on it, more so than that of potentially someone that's being influenced by a sales commission or a finance commission. The dramas we've just had recently with finance compliance and finance commission compliance is mad. Literally, if you put everything through AI, well, then all of those issues are eliminated. So we make we've done a lot of work to make sure that AIME is completely compliant as well from a finance perspective, FCA wise. So when somebody goes through the finance process, they're presented with an initial disclosure document before even any discussions of finance take place. And of course, as I mentioned earlier, that then is a completely recorded conversation with a transcript that's then backed up and time-stamped with the full black and white, details of what happened in that conversation. So there literally is just no issues with compliance at all.
That makes compliance and safeguarding so much easier, doesn't it?
That's it. So again, it's another reason. We've actually got dealers that put 100% of their customers through finance, through AIME specifically, because it's like they were so worried and scared, because of the compliance issues from the commission disclosure issues. They were like, right, we don't want to do it. We're either going to stop selling finance, or we were like, well, you could put 100% through AIME, and then you don't need to worry. And they're like, that's it. That's what we'll do. And that's their solution. So AIME's now like, what used to be called a business manager is now AIME, which is really cool.
Right. And from a customer's point of view as well, sometimes we get nervous asking humans questions and highlighting just how little we know about a topic, don't we? So it can be a little nervous to be like, actually, I know nothing about cars. I don't know what car I want. I don't know what's right for me. I know nothing about finance. I don't know how I want to pay for it. To have that conversation face to face with a human and say, hey, I know nothing, can be quite intimidating. So to be able to ask all of the questions that feel a little silly to an AI that's going to give a really good response, but also at the same time you have this sense of it's not a human that I'm making eye contact with.
There's no silly questions.
Yeah,
you can ask what you like and AIME will respond.
Yeah.
I think as well, because she's trained on great data, I was speaking to a customer the other day who, off the record, said gives better responses than most of my people. So, and it's real time. It's kind of it's there. It's based on the data about your forecourt, your business, the vehicle itself. So if it's a brand you're not familiar with, or that you don't usually sell, or she can answer questions.
Something else interesting as well. Sorry, just to jump in there on that topic was our recent studies show that actually, and this surprised me a lot, 42% of customers are outside of hours that use AIME, right? 42%. But that means 58% are inside of working hours. So what we're seeing is this emerging growth of people that are actually choosing to use this solution over and above talking to a human.
Wow.
So things have shifted. That was like 60%, and it's gone down to 50 and now sort of 42. So this is huge, right? This is now a preference for people, as opposed to it's not just out of hours anymore. So I think that's a really cool stat.
I was just thinking as well, so many dealers are bringing in new Chinese brands at the moment as well, and that's new products that the staff are going to be less familiar with. So it's going to be a lot easier to have an AI be familiar with those products, that product range, the specs and pricing, than it is to train a human to understand all of that information as well, isn't it?
Yeah, so. For sure. I mean, where there is just so much confusion in the marketplace, again, a tool like this where it can just give customers that total confidence in I know everything about every single car completely impartially, and I can give you great advice and comparisons with all the tech data, all the spec data, whatever it might be. I just think it's game changing, because it's a very confusing landscape for customers right now, right? And dealers. I mean, to be honest, it's never been so tough. In my 30 years, this is the craziest I've ever seen it. So I think tools like this sit perfectly to be able to give the customer all the confidence they need, dealers all the cost savings and efficiency elements they need, with guaranteed results coming through. In this mega crazy landscape of emerging tech, emerging stock, different manufacturers coming out, and there's a lot of challenges going on.
Where do you think it'll go in the future? What do you think, where will AIME be in 5 years' time?
So, without a doubt, I think it'll be the number one top sales solution for the top of the funnel, taking customers right from the point of, as I said, pre-search, search, browse, all the way through to reservation. So I'm very confident in that because of the way I know it's been built by our world-class tech team as well, who, they've been building tech for like Fortune 500 clients. Like we've made sure we've got the right team backing this thing and building it. So yeah, I think that's it, and I think it will change customer interactions in the automotive industry forever. I'm absolutely confident in that, without shadow of a doubt. It'll be the very first introduction of somebody walking into either a showroom or a website, or through a marketplace, or through whatever media. It'll be the first interaction, and it will be the one that then holds their hand and guides them all the way down through to purchase. Can't do test drives yet. I'm working on it.
It can book test drives.
It can book test drives,
Yeah.
but it can't
Can't be with
physically
you.
do a test drive. Although, if we plugged you into Teslas,
I'm
go.
thinking
There you
that
go.
in 2026, AIME could actually have her own nomination for the Women in Motor Industry Awards.
There you go. Wouldn't that be
Yes.
amazing? The first
It
AI
would.
to
It'd be
receive.
incredible.
Yeah, there you go.
Wow.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
She is a woman.
Indeed.
Yeah.
She is.
Amazing. So you're only 3 weeks really into understanding AIME yourself.
Yeah.
So what would you say to anybody that is maybe a bit nervous to introduce AI into their business right now?
I think don't be. I think the benefits of introducing AI and AIME far outweigh any potential negatives. And I've tried my best to break her. I've asked her all sorts of questions under the sun, and
Did
she
you
handles
succeed?
everything. I don't think there's anything that I haven't been able to
This
get
is
a
why I
response
really
to.
have to read all those transcripts, by the way.
I can
Eddie-
imagine.
I'm watching
She
out.
understands negative equity. I asked her, what's the mileage on this vehicle? Is that good? And she figured out how the age of the vehicle and what's the average mileage, and then that compared to that. So thinking on the spot kind of thing, and really answering questions. And I've not spoken to a customer that's kind of been unhappy with the responses she gives.
Amazing.
It's great. And I think people are very accepting of AI now, especially when it's doing what you ask of it and giving you the right answers. And Gerard talked about the guardrails. People are worried that AI hallucinates. Well, him and the team have done an incredible job of making sure that she doesn't. If she can't answer a question, she will not try and make it up. The amount of kind of effort that the tech team have taught me through in terms of making sure that the guardrails are in place to use data to answer questions, but not make stuff up is really important.
It's hard to get humans to not do that. So.
That's so true. I mean, I've been a salesman for most of my life, so I can agree with that one. No, but it's important because those guardrails are vital, right? Because you're trusting AIME to talk to your customers. This is the lifeblood of your business, and you need to have that trust. So just one other thing I wanted to mention, where do I see AIME and what do I see it? As the one trustworthy source of AI support for your customers moving forward, trusted being the ultimate word. Because it is, and as I said, we're on version 40-something now. And it's because of the amount of time, effort, and lots of money that have gone into ensuring that it stays on track, right? Doesn't hallucinate, doesn't get things wrong. So you can imagine from an FCA compliance point of view, you mess up on finance, you're in big trouble, right? If you go selling somebody the wrong car, you're in big trouble. If you missell, you can't make a step wrong in this industry.
Well, AIME could end up paying for itself in that, really, couldn't it? And
For
what
sure.
it could save you in,
Absolutely.
legalities and fees.
Yeah. But that's where the majority of time and effort has gone, and skill, I have to say, with the team is to ensure that it's on point all the time. It's essential.
Amazing. And I think a nice little roundup. What events should I be added into my calendar for the rest of the year?
So for the rest of the year, the first one coming up would be the Motor Trader Industry Awards. Biggest event, the Oscars of the motor industry.
Very nice.
You guys are coming. You're
Yep, we're there.
sponsoring an award.
You got your tuxes ready?
Got your tuxes ready.
Yeah.
You're going to give out the
My
category.
blue velvet tux and my
Oh,
big
very
bow tie.
nice.
Oh, wow. Love that. And navy seems to be a theme
Yeah,
today,
today's
navy and
theme.
white. So that's on the 19th. Then we've got on the 4th of December the inaugural Women in Motor Industry Awards. And then dipping into next year, January 26th, starting, kicking off the year on the 27th with our Leaders Brunch, which is all the winners from all the awards in 2025.
It's a nice way to start the year.
Yeah, it's gonna be very inspirational, and yeah, hoping you guys will come, and yeah, you're coming too. So yeah,
Perfect. I look forward to it. Well, thank you so much for joining us today,
welcome.
guys.
it's been a pleasure.